Hey guys, welcome back to my channel once again. As you know, my name is Jiya and we are on our fourth lesson. So if you have missed the last lesson, then please go and watch it. Let's start with a quick revision. So we have learned control statements till now. We have learned two types of control statements right now. If, else, if, and the while loop. And we also did a I also gave you one project in which you had to make a simple calculator using all the concepts we have learned today now. Control statements. Control statements are commands which can change the execution of a code. They help the computer do decision making and are very important. Some control statements we have learned are if it is a statement used to execute a specific code if a condition is true. Else, same as if, but if a condition is false or not true, then it executes another code. If is same as else, but it checks for another condition after the if statement has executed. After the if statement has checked if the condition is true and if the condition is false, then if would come into play. Why? While is a statement which executes a piece of code a certain number of times. That's the device. So in the top left corner is the syntax for if, and towards its right is the syntax for if and if, and towards its left, uh, below the if syntax is the code for else, and at the most bottom is the syntax for the while. Now, there's a note for the while loop that the counter has to be increased in the loop or the loop will be infinite and it can cause an error and can even cause your laptop to crash, which is never a good thing. So, overview of today's lesson. We are going to be learning for loop, else, switch, break, pass, and continue modules, and also one extra thing about the if loop. So let's first start with our practice codes that I gave you in our last class for revision. So these are the examples for those. Let's start with if else. So the practice was that we had to test whether a number given by the user is even or odd. So I have done a variable named num, which is a short form for number, and it is asking for an input from the user and it is converting its type to an integer. Then it is checking if the number's remainder is equal to 0. If it is, then it is printing even. If it is not, then it is printing odd. Now a common mistake in this is to not convert the integer. So not to convert the input into an integer. So this thing is really important, the int converter. If you don't do it, then your program won't work because mathematical operations can't happen on a string. Next, we had a practice code for if and if statement. So our practice code for that was that we had to test a number given by the user for divisibility with 2, 3, 5, 7 and 9. So in this I have again specified a variable with the name num and I have done the same syntax as the before num. So if you're doing it in like 1 5 like me, then you don't need to specify the multiple number of times. But it is a good practice for now, because then you can test it out with different numbers, as it would be like just with the number that you typed first. So then it is checking if the number's remainder when divided by 2 is 0. If it is, then it is printing that it is divisible by 2. And this just keep on happening till 9. And if all of these things are not working, if all of these things are false, then the else statement would execute, saying that the number is not divisible by any of these numbers. Then we got the while. So while we had a practice that we had to make a countdown, and we have to ask the user to tell the time for the countdown. So again, I have specified the variable number, and then I'm using the while, and it is then printing the number and decreasing it. Then let's come to our project number 1, which was to make a simple calculator using all the concepts we have learned till now. So I used another variable called time in this, because as we had to use all the concepts, so I had to find a way to include while in this. So the user will specify how many times he or she needs the calculator, and then the while loop will ensure that the that once that is done, once the calculator has been used those number of times, it would not ask the user for more numbers and operations. So then we're asking for two numbers from the user, and then we're asking for which operation they want. So it is important that you tell the user to write it in lowercase letters for now, as we have not learned any string modules yet. So if the user does not write it in lowercase and writes it like how we normally write with the first letter capital, then the code will not recognize it. Then we're checking if the operations are equal to all the operations specified, and then it is calculating the answer and printing it. So it is important that you set the answer to 0 every time, so that it does not keep on adding and doing the things to your old answer only, even though it can be useful sometimes, but it is best to avoid that to avoid any bugs. Then after each operation, it is decreasing the time by 1, and then we have an else statement in case if someone did not write their answer in lowercase letters, or have a spelling mistake, or used any operation that was not specified, then it would print that the operation is not found, but it will not decrease the number of times as it was an error. So these are the practice code and the exemplar for our first project. It's okay if your program isn't similar to my programs, but it should work. Like how my programs worked. Let me just show you only how does the code do in the output console in our side. So it asked me to type a number. Let's do 34, and it says that it's an even number. Now it is asking for let's say 45. So it tells that 45 is divisible by 3, But now you might see that it is also divisible by 5 and 9. So if you see our code right here, we are using ifs. So that means if one condition is not true, only then and only then we'll go to the next statement. So if you want to take all the factors of a number, then you can just use if. You should not write if, then you should just do if. So let's change that and see in real life what would happen if we remove this. If we remove these and run our program again. So this is equals to 53 in this. So it tells the number is odd, and let's type 45 again. Then it tells me that it is divisible by 3, 5 and 9. So as it was a practice for AF, that's why I used the AF view. But if you have to do it for factors of a number, then you should use if statement for this purpose. Now let's type 53. Oh, this was the countdown one. So it count down from 53 to 1. And then it is asking me how many times do I need the calculator. I'm doing it 6. So let's type 34 and 2. And then we can say add. So it would add those numbers. Then I'm gonna keep on using these two numbers and just change this one. So 32, and then my I have to type a number here. So yeah, let's do multiply. Okay, I did not write the correct spelling. So 34 and 2. And it multiplies. So this is how it works for all of them. But if you notice here, when we are doing the subtraction one, if num1 would not be more than num2, then the answer would be in a minus. So to avoid that, we can also do this where actually you can modify it after we have done this class, because there's an important thing I want to tell you about how to put two statements in one if. So as I've already told you, we will be learning these things in our class today. We need a short revision of something that I told you guys in the second lesson, that is Boolean operators. So these operators work on true and false, which basically if uses. So that's why this operator can be used. So we can also use Boolean operators for checking two statements at the same time. Like for example, I have taken the age limit of Legos for an example. So if the minimum age for Lego class 6 are 3, while the max age for these is 99, and then it is asking the age of the person. Again, we are converting it into an integer. Then using the AND operator, we are checking if the age is more than the minimum age and less than the max age. So if both of those are true, then your answer would be, then this whole statement would be true, and it would print that you can pay with Lego. If your age is less than 3, then it would say no, you can't. Now you might say, what is this? This backward backslash. So if we remove this, as we are using single quotations in our print statement, it would think that this is the end of the sentence and this part would not be counted. So that's why we need to put backslash, backward backslash as the normal backslash is the one I did right now. Now you could also use double quotations, but this is also a way. And then if all of this is false, then it just prints no. So now these are the truth tables for and, or, and not. So it tells you all the possible combinations that can happen. So and I'm just summarizing. You can look at the table yourself. I'm just summarizing it. So if A and B are both true, only then will the whole statement be true. If there is any other possible value, then it would be a false and the statement would not execute. Now with or statement, only if both the conditions are false, only then a true would not be given. And then not is just like an opposite thing. Like it is kind of like a mirror. Like in a mirror, if you wave with your right hand in the mirror, you will see your left hand waving. So like if A is true, then not will just convert it into a false. If it is false, then it would convert it into a true. For you. So for you is a condition statement that repeats a specific code for a number of times. So now you might say that while you and for you are similar. Well, they are, but there is a bit of difference, which we will come to which would come to in a minute. So this is the syntax for the for you. So there's a variable and a sequence which can be a range, a string, or topics like dictionaries, lists, and arrays. So now you might ask what is this range function that we are using right here. So it is a function or module that gives like numbers in a range. So like you put a start and a stop. So like in this the start is 1. So the range would start at 1 and it would stop when it reaches 10. Like if we want to like skip numbers, then we write another number like how many numbers we want to skip. So I show you that in a minute. So like we define for I a variable in range 1 to 10, print I multiplied by 2 and I by which number we are multiplying. So in the statement, right, this is the statement that we were working on. So 1 multiplied by 2 is 2, 2 multiplied by 4 is 4, 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, and so on. Now you might notice that this is only 9, while we put the range as 10. So that is something that you should keep in your mind, that it would end one moment before, like one number before your range. So that is something you should keep in your mind. If you put a step of 2, then it would skip 2 numbers. Then it would skip 2 numbers as we can see here. It skips from 1 to 2 and then to 3, like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So it skips by 2 if we take 1 as the first number. If you would have taken 0 as the first number, then it would have skipped to all the even numbers. Now, this is the difference between while loop and the for loop. You can separate the word, any word or sentence into smaller things. So like we have got the word here, and for I in the word, so for every letter in this word, it will print the letter. It would print the letter as you can see here. Now if we write like a sentence here, like how would I am here, and we now do this, and it breaks into all the letters. It breaks all the letters in that sentence. So this is the difference between a while loop and this loop. Now let's get to else suite. So as we can see, so we can use else statement with for or while loops too. So basically else suite is equal to else, but in place of using it with if and if, we can use it with for and while. But there's a difference. If we use it after the for or while loop, it would work like it would work under any circumstance. So if after my program prints yes 5 times, it prints a no. Because this statement is now false once it reaches the range. So it prints a no. Same would happen if you change it into a while loop. Now break. Now break is not a command statement. Break is like a command statement, but it is not a conditional statement. So it is like a module used to break out of a loop. Now, like if we take this example, for I in range 10, we will print I, but once I gets more than 4, we will break the loop. So in this, we reach the 5 and then the loop stops. But if we remove break and this whole statement and then do it, then it goes to 10 and then it says out of loop. Right? In this, it just goes to 5 and it says out of loop. It just goes to 10 and this it is going out of loop. So break can be used in that circumstance. Pass. So pass is a command statement that is used to represent no operation in a loop. So in this, even though we have added a pass, it only comes, but there's no change. It only comes to 10 without any change. Without any change. And then there is the continue statement. It is used for a loop to go to the beginning. So that's a bit hard to wrap your head around, but it is more like once it reaches 5, then it would, by continue, it would begin like at the top of the loop. But in this, as x is not defined inside the while loop, x would equal to 5 when it reaches this. So x would equal to 5 when it reaches this, and by the continue statement, so it will do to 6, and as 6 is more than 5, like it would keep on going to that loop. So yeah, that's why. And if we check our output statement, and it only goes to 5, and then it says it is out of loop. It says it is out of loop. So now if we go to our practice codes, now that you know how to use the Boolean operators, You can figure out a way to check if if the first number is greater than the second number. Only then will the answer subtract 2 from the number 1. If it is not, then it would check if number 2 is more than number 1. If it is, then it would subtract number 1 from number 2. So you can pause the video right now, I guess so. And once you're done, I'm gonna wait for a few seconds so that you can pause the video. You can try and implement this, and then we get back and I show you how it is done. So now let's see how it is done. So if num1, actually this can be done without using the Boolean operators too, but it would be a good practice if we use that. So num2, actually it will be done without the Boolean operators only. So anyways, if num1 is bigger than num2, only then with this would true. Else, as there is no other choice, so we're not gonna use an A. It would do this same thing, but it would subtract the second number from the first number. So that's our lesson for today. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I see you in our next lesson. Bye.